So we're going to start by taking a look at the hairpin turn. This is one of the biggest passing opportunities on this track. And really, in order to get yourself in that position to pass, you need to get yourself up to the inside of the driver in front of you so that he knows you're there and so that you have the preferred line going into the turn. So there's really two ways you can do this. Your first option is to wait for the driver in front of you to make a mistake, which fortunately in our case, that's exactly what happens here. Or your second option is to dive out around the driver in the braking zone and really late brake him, down into the turn. Now, in this case, we can see that the cart number 69, he gets out into the rough patch here. His rear end steps out on him quite a bit. I mean, so much so that I think he actually lifts his front left tire off the ground for a few seconds. So he's unable to really get the power down on the track, and he loses a significant amount of speed here. Now, I should say this is a qualifying session, and I'm not going to be overly aggressive with this move. You can even see how early I braked. I more or less just wanted the other driver to know that I was there, and he is nice enough to let me go. I can see at this point that he actually turns his head and looks at me in my peripheral vision, so he's aware that I'm there. And like I said, he more or less just lets me go through. In a race time situation, this move is probably going to be quite a bit more aggressive. I definitely would have braked probably 20 feet later than I did coming into that turn. And the only thing I really have to say about this move is that, should you choose to make this move happen, make sure that you make the move clean. Make sure you get far enough up on the driver in front of you, so that he can see that you're there. We can see here that even before the turn-in point, I think the turn-in point would have been right about there for him. I'm equal with him. He very clearly sees I'm there. If I'm behind him, if my front tire is hardly lined up with his back tire and there's no way that he can see me, and he turns in, he's got a good chance of cutting the front of your cart off, which is probably going to end the race for both of you guys. So, I just stress, if you're going to make this move, it's your responsibility as the guy making the pass to make it a clean pass, and make it a responsible pass. So building off of what we just discussed about the hairpin turn, now we're going to switch roles here. We're going to see that us, the cart number 24, we're the ones now in the position here of running wide, being in the rough patch, and not getting such a good entry onto this straightaway here. We're going to discuss in a few clips from now why this takes place, but we can see that really the only passing opportunity here in the hairpin turn is to pass up the inside. And we recognize right now that we got a very bad entry onto this straightaway, that the cart number 69 may have a little bit more momentum than us. So the easiest way to defend your position is to run a mid to low line entering into the hairpin. Now we can see by doing this, cart number 69's opportunity to late break us up the inside, we've virtually shut that option out for him. His only opportunity is to take his normal line, which speed-wise winds up working out for him very well. But as far as track positioning goes, it still leaves us in the same position that we were in when we entered the turn, thus protecting the position. So in this example here, we're going to discuss one of the biggest passing opportunities on the track, which is going to be turn 1. Now, we can see this is another video taken from the angle of the cart number 69 who's following us onto the straightaway. The cart number 2 makes a bit of a mistake and gets a bit sideways coming onto the straightaway. So we all recognize immediately that this is going to be probably our best passing opportunity. Cart number 2, he's a very good driver. He realizes the same thing, that he doesn't have the momentum that I have. So he checks his shoulder because he wants to defend his position a bit from me. He also recognizes that he needs to run the inside line, as we discussed in the previous video about the hairpin. He realizes that he needs to run the inside line to protect his position from me. So it's at this point that I realize that he's going to do whatever he's got to do to block me from getting there. So I need to somehow get this cart drug up the track so I can open up that inside line. So at this point, I decide I'm going to poke out a little bit, and I'm going to see if I can't trick him. Okay, and I think they call this a dummy move. I want to see if I can't trick him and get him to drift up the track a bit. And we can see here that that's exactly what takes place. The cart number 2 starts to actually go up the track quite a bit to protect his position from us, at that point at which it leaves this entire bottom line back open again. We immediately recognize this and decide to make a quick dart to the inside of the track and contest this position by trying to late break the opponent. And we can see in this situation it works out very well. Both myself and the cart number 2, we're both well aware that we're in the positions we're in. He leaves plenty of room to race here, and we get a little bit sideways coming out of this turn, but we're able to collect it, keep it all together, and come out in a better position. So now we're going to discuss another opportunity that could present itself going through turn 1. And this is a bit of the opposite of what took place in the last video. So in this video here, we're following the cart number 44. He winds up getting a great entry onto the straightaway, as do we. And he recognizes that we're probably going to have a bit of a run on him and may be able to contest his position down the inside of the track. Now, I was kind of trying to do the same dummy move that I was able to pull. And you can see here he checks his shoulder. I was kind of trying to do the same dummy move that I had pulled on the cart number 2, where I pull out on the cart and try to get him to open up that inside line. The 44 is an experienced driver. He's done, I think, a few other types of racing deals in the past as well. And he is not very easily tricked, and he actually does not fall for this move at all. So this makes me reevaluate the situation, and we need to think of some other way in which we can pass this driver. So now the driver is up the inside of the track. He's on the low side here, which means he's going to get a very slow exit out of the turn. So our best thing to do here is to brake a little bit earlier and to get back on the gas sooner than the driver of cart number 44 can. And by effectively doing so, we're actually able to pull a pretty good crossover on the driver number 44. He gets on the gas a little bit later than we do. We're on it a little bit earlier, which gives us a little bit more momentum coming out of the straightaway. And by the time he looks over to defend his position, because again, he's going to want to defend the low side, he winds up realizing that we are already side by side with him. So we wind up going into turn 2 in the preferred position. We take the inside line here, and it winds up coming out very well for us on the other side as we wind up coming out. I believe this was the battle for the lead here. Now, this is a passing opportunity that doesn't normally present itself during the normal laps of a race, but this is something that happens a lot at the start of the race. So we can see here, this is the first turn, start of the race. I was fighting for the lead here, got myself shuffled out a bit into the apron, and wound up coming back on the track in 4th place. So, again, we're here with the cart number 2, and he's got the preferred line going into turn 2. So he winds up taking us and getting a pretty good exit out of this turn. Winds up pulling me by a few cart lengths. Now, what you'll notice here is that going into turn 3, he winds up running a bit wide, and I could understand his method was probably to run wide and try to get a really good exit to catch up with the cart number 69. But we wind up seeing that this door is wide open, so we cut this turn really shallow and try to dive right up inside on the guy. And this winds up working out very well. We do a little bit of a slide job getting in there, and we're able to position ourselves in front of the other driver, and that finds us now in the top 3. So similar to the previous clip, this is an opportunity that really only presents itself maybe at the start of the race or in a situation like this where the driver in front of you makes some sort of a mistake. So we can see entering into the third turn here, driver number 69 is getting a pretty good run on the 44. He's entering a bit lower. His cart's a bit tighter. Only problem is he winds up losing his rear end just a little bit coming out. I believe he used his brake a bit, so he avoided contact with the cart in front of him. So this gives us the perfect opportunity to ride up the inside and really try to late brake this guy into the box turn. So we can see here, we presented ourselves to the driver. We're even with him. He's completely aware we are where we are on the track. And this winds up working very well for us. A bit of a push because we're coming in a little bit too hot. Now, in the previous video we watched, we saw that the cart number 69 was up on the inside of us here. And we do recognize this, and we're going to try to avoid a crossover going into the hairpin turn. So I'm going to run a defensive line down through the hairpin, up the center, which is going to protect ourselves from the cart number 69 running up on our inside right-hand side and, gaining back the position that we were just able to take from him. And we can see in this situation it works out perfect. We're able to hold second position and now able to contest the leader for first.